Hello everybody, welcome back to day 2 of my Van Morrison week here on the channel. Didn't really know what direction I was going to go in with these Van Morrison videos, what I was going to talk about. I just knew that I wanted the topics to be Van Morrison related. I'm thinking that there might be at some point some sort of, breaking down the decades and doing like a top 10 for each decade that Van has been a presence in the musical world. Yesterday, I filmed a video about Van's fantastic album, Tupelo Honey. Today, I'm going to focus in on an album that I don't really listen to that much, and I'm ashamed to say that that's the case, because this is a really great album, and this was recommended to do by my friend Steve, who has a channel I'll put below. A is for Alice, B is for Bob, C is for Caravan. And I'm not talking about the prog band, I'm talking about Van. He wanted me to talk about this album right here, Wavelength. Now, this album is kind of a move in a more, synthetic is not the right word, but definitely a more synthesized version of Van, but not in a way that is, annoying or really dated for that matter. I mean, you listen to a lot of albums from the 80s and you're like, oh, that's from the 80s. This is Van approaching the 80s, 1978, but he has all the characteristics that make a great Van Morrison record. Again, his 10th studio record, another winning cover by Van Morrison. You have hairy arms, a tiny piece of a cigarette, and very tight white pants spread there. But this is an original. It's a cutout there. But I actually have 2 copies of this, but the other one has a hype sticker on it. But anyway, really, really solid record. I just finished listening to it before filming. I listened to it. I keep a spreadsheet of albums that I listen to. I'd listened to this back in March this year as well. I've listened to it several times. I know the record, but it's not one that I necessarily reach for all the time. There's some really, really good stuff on here. Now, again, Van at this point is, not exactly, making hits. He'd already put out, the big albums, Moondance, Tupelo Honey, St. Dominic's Preview, Blowing Your Mind with Brown Eyed Girl was, a decade behind him by this point. So Van was kind of reimagining himself, as a lot of artists did, especially once decades were wrapping up. And again, with this being 1978, Van made no exception. But some really solid songs on here that I'll get into in a second. He does have some great background players on this, some of his very famous friends, including Garth Hudson, the multi-instrumentalist from the band who we just recently lost, I believe earlier this year. Bobby Tench on electric guitar is on here as well. Let's see who else is on here. I believe... Let me see. Who is the other one there? Herbie Armstrong, whose name you see on a lot of stuff. Again, solid record. The songs on here that you might know are the title track, which kind of starts with this almost like a prelude to it, with Van doing that very high voice that he did on songs like Crazy Love. That you would know as a bigger hit. And Van uses that voice on several of the tracks on here, but then also comes out with that really solid, strong baritone that he's most famous for using. But, the Wavelength, it's got this kind of synthy, almost ethereal opening to it on the keys. And then it jumps into this great, kind of full-on Van Morrison kind of, gospel-y kind of tune. Great background vocals on the whole record as well. He always has great background singers On this record, he has Laura Creamer and Linda Dillard, as well as Ginger Blake, Bobby Tench, and then Van also double tracks his own vocals a few times as well. But the opening track on this record, and again, this is a big theme for Van, is always harkening back to his childhood. And again, this album's no exception. The album starts with just the absolutely epic song Kingdom Hall. Great electric guitars on that. Very catchy chorus. Just, it's a very hook laden song. I would recommend that song for sure if you don't know any songs on this record. Kingdom Hall is fantastic. Van has a way of taking a long song, a 6-minute long song or so, and making it seem like a 2-minute pop song. It's just, they're always so catchy and so full of great material. Checking It Out, the second song, has this great kind of almost like shuffle to it. Very much like an early like Sam Cooke kind of song, and Sam Cooke was a big influence on Van. So Checking It Out has a great tune. Actually, when I was listening to it upstairs a little bit ago, I kind of was thinking that somebody like Hall & Oates could actually cover that song, or could have back in their prime. The song Natalia is a great tune. Again, just another one of those full-on, lyrical songs that puts you in a place, and it puts you right kind of there in the middle of the story. The song Venice USA might be my least favorite. That one kind of goes a little bit too long. The chorus is just, he's just going dum diddy dum dum diddy daddy do. It's kind of repetitive. Not a big fan of that. And then the side B, I'm skipping over a couple of songs. Side 2 opens with Wavelength, the title track. Santa Fe is this gorgeous, long track. And actually, from what I understand, goes back to the early 70s. He wrote it with Jackie DeShannon, who you would know from Put a Little Love in Your Heart, What the World Needs Now, and she also wrote the song Betty Davis Eyes, covered it, and then obviously Kim Carn had a version of that song. But I think, from what I understand, it was the first time that there was a co-write with Van on a record. So that's the first co-write on an album that Van has. But it goes right into this almost just flawlessly. The song Santa Fe goes into Beautiful Obsession, which, again, just beautiful lyrics on this record. Beautiful Obsession is just kind of him almost like free singing just kind of off the top of his head. Just very stream of consciousness, which Van is very famous for. And the last track is just one of those songs that I think could become a favorite if you give it a shot. Take It Where You Find It. It's just this fantastic 9-minute epic song. Van knows how to close a record, and this album is no exception. Lines like the chorus is, he just says lost dreams and found dreams in America. It's just, he keeps repeating that. And close your eyes, leave it all for a while, leave the world and your worries behind. You will build on whatever is real and wake up each day to a new waking dream. And then he just keeps repeating at the end, I'm going to walk down the street until I see my shining light. Big, horns coming through there. Again, I said Garth Hudson's on this record. This song could definitely have been a song done at the Last Waltz with the band. Big horns, kind of Alan Toussaint. And Van's just letting it go, and it just builds and builds and builds. It's so good. So I would recommend, if you're going to check out a couple of songs on this, title track, Wavelength, Kingdom Hall, I recommend, and then that last track, Take It Where You Find It, are all fantastic. Hungry for Your Love was also kind of a minor hit for Van, but those are the three that I would recommend. So let me know what you think about this record. Again, I wish I knew more about it than I do. It's definitely going to be one that I'm going to add more into my rotation. But I do enjoy it, and I'm always like, listen to this album every time I've listened to it, and I'm thinking, why don't I listen to this? These songs are so good and so catchy. But Steve, that one was for you. Thank you for the recommendation. I can't promise that I'm going to continue making recommendation videos, but this was an idea from Steve to do this record, and it's not definitely an album I've never really talked about. So that does it for me for day 2 of my 5-day Van Morrison week series. So let me know what you all think. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow with another Van Morrison video. Bye now.